Right, you join me at Decoy Lakes today. I'm actually down here doing some practicing for the Winter League final at the end of this month, and I thought, why not get the cameras down and do a bit of dobbing. I sat myself on a peg today where it's got loads and loads of features for dobbing, so it's perfect to do that. I think we'll get straight into it and get some dobbing done. I'm going to start on the bread, 6mm punch. I always like to start on bread. I do like to dob maggots as well, but I find that I start on bread, maybe I could nick a few carp early if there's any resident carp knocking about. I find that bread's a better bait for dobbing for carp. I had a little plumb of the peg before we started. It's about 4 or 5 foot deep, but I've got my rig set at 28 inch. I've started at, that's a good starting depth that I always like to start at when I'm dobbing. There's an aerator right in front of me, so I'm going to start dobbing on that aerator. That's a really good feature to start on. Just flick your dobbing rig in. Let it all settle up. I've got a nice light rig. I'm just going to have a dob around this aerator nice and early now. And when I'm fishing with bread, this is a bait where I like to be a bit patient with it more. When you're dobbing with maggots, you can flick that about. So if you feel like there's fish, little pockets of fish, and you need to flick a rig about, then you want to be fishing with maggots. But with bread, be a little bit more patient. The rig's fishing now, it's all settled up. There you go, straight away into a fish. Lovely. Take your time. I think this is an F1. No need to rush on a winter's day. Every fish counts. I do like to pull in this lake. I've actually been on this peg before in the past, a good few years ago now. I had the same type, oh it's a little carp, I had the same type of match, dobbing to this spinner. There we go. That'd be a lovely start if you was in a match situation. Nice £2 mirror. We'll slip him back and then go in again. If you've caught one straight away at 28 inch, I don't see the need to change yet. Seems like that you've picked the right depth to start at. Again, 8mm punch of bread. What I like to do before I put the bread on is compress the bread. Just keeps it on the hook a little bit longer. We'll go back in right on that little spot again. Always flick your rig out in front of you like that. Just let it fall through nice and slow with that light rig. Let it all catch up with itself. Catch a lot of fish on the drop with that because they're watching it go down the bait. But that's a perfect start, that. Fish straight away. This is a lovely peg for it. It's got loads of features. You've got the aerator, all reeds all the way around. So it's got to hold some fish. Oh, we had a nice little indication then. Oh, missed a bite. Flip that back in. Now if I start missing loads of bites like that, what I'll do is I'll come back and shallow up a little bit till I find them again at the right depth. It's all settled up again now, that rig, and we're fishing. What I'll do is I'll wait for 60 seconds. Oh, another missed bite straight away. There's lots of fish there. But as I was saying, I'll wait for about 60 seconds. And if I've not had any indications or a bite, what I'll do is I'll just lift the float up slightly, lower it back in. Slight bit of movement on the bread works really well sometimes. When you're dobbing, there's no rush. It's a good way to feeling your way into a peg as well. It's not that, you're not feeding any bait, so you're not messing up any lines. You can move about everywhere, try and find them pockets of fish. What I like to do is as well have a long line from my float to my pole tip, Just keep your pole out the way. I've got 2 number 8 back shots there, keeping the line tight. There was a little liner then. See already, oh, missed a bite again. See already I feel like I need to come back and shallow up a little bit. What I do is I have my top kits marked up. I think that's really important to have your top kits marked up so you know exactly what depth you're fishing at. You could move from 28 inch to 27 inch, that inch, and it can be a massive difference to hooking them. But I'm still dobbing in the same spot, because obviously we're getting signs, so there is some fish there. The wind was blowing the other way before, but it actually has started pushing now. I think that makes it better. It could push some more fish down as well. The bread's come off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ship back. I'm going to shallow up a little bit. So as I say, I'm fishing at 28 inch. I've got my top kits marked up. I'm going to pull it down to 26 inch. So I've come 2 inch shallower, pull them back shots back down. About 2 inch away I have him. 6mm punch again. I have got an 8mm punch as well. They're my 2 go-to punches, 8mm and 6mm. If I feel like I'm on bigger carp, then I'll step it up to the 8mm punch, or even if I've got like loads of roach in my peg and I'm catching silvers, bigger punch sometimes helps you out, stops you catching silvers. But I haven't caught any silvers yet, and I'm getting signs, and I've had one on 6mm punch, so I'll stick with that. I've gone back in the same spot again. Just away from that aerator. Might be a case that I need to come tighter to the aerator. They might be sat right under. Oh, there you go. I shallowed up 2 inch and I've got a bite instantly. It just proves that swapping depths makes a massive difference. Take your time again. As I said before, there's no rush in winter. Every fish counts. We're only fishing lighter lines, hooks. But I love this peg. When I drew it last time, I think I had 120 odd pound, 130 pound. I had a good match. That's an F1 this time. Nice F1. £2. But at the minute, I don't feel like we need to do anything different. Until you feel like you're not getting any indications. I fish with stots on my line. I have them strung out through my rig, and before you go out, stots do tend to move a little bit when you're fishing, because stots do move on your line. Check your stots, make sure they're back in the same place. I like to have them strung out through my rig, just to create that slower fall when you're flicking that bait in. And again, ship out, flick the rig in. So we're at 26 inch deep this time. You've just seen how much of a difference by shallowing up 2 inch it makes. It's so important. I had a couple of indications, missed bites at 28 inch, and I've shallowed up that 2 inch. It's made a massive difference straight away. A lot of people fish with like heavier dobbing rigs. I do when the conditions are different. If it was, missed the bite again. If it was windy, then I would step up my dobbing rig to a heavier rig. But if I can get away with it and it's flat, there's no tow on the lake, I like to fish with the lightest rig possible. I'm a believer that they feel, when they suck the bread in or whatever hook bait you're fishing with, I'm a believer that they feel the resistance on the rig. There you go, straight away. It's absolutely solid on that spinner. Guide the fish away from the aerator. Decoy is a fantastic place. It's absolutely rammed with fish, and when you get on some, it's so good fishing. I'm actually looking forward to the Winter League final in a few weeks. I always look forward to this every year. Another big F1. Right, we just had a nice F1. We're going to go back in again. Like I said before, it's pointless changing anything. We're catching really well on that spinner. 8mm puncher bread. Sorry, 6mm puncher bread. Compress it so it stays on the hook. flick your rig in. I'm fishing at 26-inch deep. I was fishing at 28-inch deep and I was missing a few bites, so I shallowed up a couple of inch. And that's working better now. So important to be active changing depths. Them F1s, they sit at different depths constantly. You can catch 2 or 3 at one depth and then miss bites indications, come to a different depth and start catching straight away again. Be patient. What I like about dobbing when you're on them, you're not spoiling your peg, you're not wrecking it, you're not feeding any bait. So you can move about into different areas and try and nick pockets of fish. Now that rig's been fishing now in the water for near enough a minute, so what I do is, I've not had an indication, I lift the rig up slightly, pull it to one side, drop it back in. Just creating a bit of a flutter on the bread. Hopefully you can seduce a fish that's in the area into taking your hook-bait. Dobbing's a really effective method in the winter. So deadly tactic. When the F1s and can't ball up and you land on them, there's no finer way of catching them. I just missed a bite then. That was a lovely bite, that one as well. Probably a little bit slow myself striking into that. It's not to matter. Flick your rig back in again, the bread's still on. What I like about these winter maggies that I'm using, you can actually read the float. You watch everything falling through the water. You can tell when your rig's settled up and fishing. Find that really important. Just trying to read your swim. A little indication then, I think that was a liner. That wind is getting up a little bit now. The rig's still fishing alright though. Sitting there nicely. So it's been about a minute again now. Lift the rig, pull it to one side, left or right, and lower it back in. So I'm not getting actually as many, oh there we go, straight away, look at that. Just after I'd lifted and lowered that rig back in. So I've got one on now, guide the fish away from the aerator, away from all the snags, and from the, obviously there's a load of F1s there, away from the shoal so you're not disturbing them. There you go, another F1, absolutely fantastic fishing. Right, we're going to run you through the setup. I'll start with the rigs first. I'll just pick that up. I've only set up one rig today, dobbing rig, pretty simple. We'll start with the elastic. I've got a 10 to 12 red slick. It's nice and soft, but can power up in case you hook a bigger fish. Main line is 015 main line. Now the float is a 4x8 RW winter maggie. Absolutely fantastic float for the winter time for fishing shallow and dobbing. I've got 2 number 8 back shots, just about 2 inch away from the float. And then I've got it shotted with 5 number 12 stots, just strung out through the line. It's slightly tapered towards the float because you can't string them out evenly in that amount of space. And then I've got a 6 inch 011 hook length to an 18's F1 pellet hook. Now the hook, I've got an 18's F1 pellet because you can fish maggots with that, bread with that, and it's a nice light gauged hook, so for that slower fall, you're always thinking about creating that slower fall with your rig. So that's the rig, really simple. And I've got, obviously, as I explained, I've got my top kits marked up, and that's a really important factor about any type of shallow fishing or dobbing. And that was the depth we fished at today, 26 inch. That was the best depth that we caught at. We did start at 28, but I moved down to 26 and it was miles better. So that's the rig. We'll move over to the bait. Another simple thing today, I had some maggots. I didn't even try maggots today, I didn't feel like I needed to, the bread was so good. But I did have them on my side tray in case I did feel like I needed some maggots, and obviously, as I explained earlier, if I feel like I needed to start feeding a few maggots with a catapult and catch some shallow if it was really good fishing. and then obviously some bread. The best one today, I had 2 punches, a 6mm punch and an 8mm punch. The best today was the 6mm punch. I think that was because of the size of fish as well. Everything I've had today has been between 2 and 4 pound, nothing big, so I felt like the 6mm punch was perfect. That was the 2 baits. Really simple fishing, as dobbing is, but like I say, you can have a really good day's fishing on it. Right, we've just had another fantastic fish, but I feel like the fish have started to back off a little bit. I'm not getting as many liners, less bites, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start shipping my way out, trying to follow them fish out up that banking, because there's loads and loads of areas where we can dob, so we'll do that now. It's not changed anything, I'm still fishing 6mm punch, I'm catching on that really well. Compress the bread. I always make sure I compress it so it stays on a bit longer. So I'm just going to grab these sections. Grab another 2 sections on now. Get them together. There we go. A little bit awkward shipping here with the banking high behind you, but we can get away with it. So I'm going to ship further out to the back now where the reeds are. Again, not changing anything, I've not changed depth, doing the same thing, just trying to chase the fish. Look at that straight away, it just proves that the fish do back off from you. I've gone out 2 sections and started catching straight away again. This is one of my favourite methods when you get on some fish. It's brilliant fishing. Just put my sections back on a minute, I've shipped back a bit too far there. Take a couple off. There we go, that's better. Another good F1. Fantastic. You can build a way to them quickly. It's a really simple tactic, dobbing, and if you get everything right, you don't have to change anything. I think the most important part is just changing your depths. But we're catching really well, it's 26 inch deep now, so I don't really feel like we need to change that neither. I just feel like we've got everything right at the minute. There we go. But this is probably an ideal dobbing peg with how many features there is in the peg, and the wind's blowing in. Back in that area towards the far bank where we had a bite just. So important to flick that rig, and I can't stress enough. Don't just lower it in any old way, flick your rig out, keep a tight line. Missed a bite then. If you miss a bite, repeat the process, flick that rig in again. That wind's getting up now. This is why I've got that long line as well, just so you're not pulling your float about everywhere. Your pole can move freely a little bit. I've been fishing this method all winter at the place local to myself, Furswood Fishery. I'm having some really good results on it. Just dobbing, finding the fish, changing depths, being productive more than anything. It's so important to all types of fishing. But some days there's just no need to rush when you're dobbing, because they don't want to feed the fish sometimes. And them who are feeding won't be catching, and you'll just be nice and steady away in the winter, just dobbing an odd fish here and there. And then the later parts, if you're fishing a fishing match, the later parts of the match, if you decide you want to start feeding, then you can for the last couple of hours, when the fish want to feed. So I've watched that rig now fall through with the bread on, settled up and it's fishing now. We'll give it a minute, see if we get an indication then. So give it about a minute, lift the rig out slightly, drop it back in. Just create that fall, try and seduce one into taking your hook bait. Now if we don't catch one here, we can always keep pushing further out, come closer into the reeds. You could even come back, drop back short if you wanted on the spinner. They move about quickly because they've got loads of places they can move about here and sit. Oh, there we go, missed a bite again. There's definitely fish there. The bread's still on, so flick the rig back in again. I can't stress how important it is as well to have that pole tip right out the way and have your back shots on to keep the line tight. I've had it loads of times in the past where you've got your pole tip too close and they just know you're there fishing in your peg and they won't come in or take your hook bait, too scared. That was a liner then. Definitely fish there, so lift it, drop it, lower it back in. I'm just trying to seduce that fish that's there to take the hook bait. Bread's a deadly method for dobbing with. It's always, I'd fish a lot with maggots as well. Double maggot, single maggot side on. But I seem to sort of switch to maggots, like I said earlier, when moving about more, flicking a rig in more active, moving in the peg. Just because it stays on better as well, I think. There's definitely some fish there. I'm getting the odd indication. Keep lifting that rig, lowering it in. I sort of have like a little process of what I do. I missed a bite then straight away. I was a bit too slow into that. But that was as I lift and lowered that rig back in again. So they're obviously watching it fall through the water. Oh, there you go. Brilliant. As my rig was actually settling up then. Again, guide it away from the snags. This one's pulling slowly. Could be a better fish. Take your time, there's no rush, as I keep saying. Not in winter. It's a better F1. Nice F1 again. £2 F1. It's fantastic sport. Absolutely brilliant. I think we'll go out, we'll have one more go and see if we can catch another one there. But this just proves how effective dobbing is in the winter time. Right, so we've had a really good session dobbing today. I think we're going to finish the video off by back on the aerator where we started. I feel like a few fish have moved back into the aerator, so we're going to finish the video off back on that spinner. I haven't changed anything. It's been a really simple video to do, just dobbing bread. I think the most important part of this little session has been changing the depths. It's been so important and it makes a massive difference. So I've ended up finishing my session back in the same spot. I've flicked that rig in again. I'm waiting for it. I'm watching it all settling up and reading the float. And we're fishing now. Everything's settled up nicely. I'm just holding on to them two back shots. I can see them just out the water. Then I've got about 2 inch from the back shots to my float, just so I can lift into them bites quickly. I've just missed a liner then, I think that was. I think there's so many fish there today. It's some venue, this place, Decoy. was an indication then. I didn't lift and start. I felt like it was another liner. Another liner. There's lots of fish there. That could be a sign that you need to shallow up a little bit, so always have that in your mind. I've had a days where I've come up to like 20 inch, 18 inch and still dobbed them. I think what it is when the sun comes out, they come up more up in the upper layers. They want to be out and sunning themselves in the sun. And also as well, don't be disheartened of thinking when you're dobbing with maggots that the sun comes out and you're missing a lot of indications, to start fishing proper shallow with maggots. That can work really well. Well, let's see if we can catch one more for you on this spinner to finish off. Be a nice little ending to the video. There we go. Again, guide it away from that aerator. It's another F1 this. Brilliant sport. This is why we all love fishing. When you get days like this. Another lovely F1 to finish off on. I'll just hold this one up for the camera. Look at that. Fantastic fishing. Slipping back. And there you go. I hope this video's been a help to you and you can put it into practice on the bank. And I'll see you sometime soon.
Right folks, why should you become a Catch More Media channel member? Well, I can think of 50 good reasons right now, because that's how many exclusive videos are in our members area. And we only started putting them on there last February, so just under a year ago, Rob. Lots of content. You've had a lot to do with it.
Loads of content. Really enjoyed putting it together. Loads of extra things for you guys to watch, especially when the weather's a bit naff. Yeah. Keeps you busy.
I'm particularly proud of the stars we've got on there as well. So big thanks to everyone who's helped us get this off the ground. Yeah. That's including Matt Godfrey, Hadrian Whittle, Christian Jones, of course, who's probably on there more than anybody. Yes. Jordan Holloway, yourself, who did me a lovely live match. We've got so much content on there and more in the pipeline coming up. So 100%. Bobby Taylor, we've been out with him. Yeah. Stuff from him is probably going to be filtering on any time about now. It's just going to get better, isn't it?
100%. Plus, recently, sort of the last 6 months, we've started doing live matches with Star Anglers, haven't we? Yeah. So every month now, you're getting a live match for your $4.99, sometimes 2. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's plenty going on there. And $4.99 for the extra membership, of course. So that gets you every live stream, every video that goes on there. Or you can pay a bit more, $7.99, and you can get everything, all the edited content, should I say, a week earlier than everybody else. So yes, plenty to go at.
Plenty to go at. Exclusive live streams every month. Don't forget them. I'll be running them with the likes of Lee Kerry. He's done one. James Dent's done one.
He has.
Christian Jones done one.
He has.
Pen
Writing's done one. I enjoyed this.
Great. Todd Manor special. Loads of little interesting topics covered. So if you have a little sit down, watch through them, there'll be loads of little gems you can pick up.
So there you are, folks. Have a look at it. If you like what you see, please let us know. And if you've got any suggestions of things you'd like to see on our extra or elite channels, just drop a little message in the comments and we'll get on the case.
See you over there.